But I want to take this time and open it up to questions to see if anybody had any questions or anything they felt like I needed to touch on and go into, because a lot of times I don't get to deal with questions or open it up to questions. But I want to take this time and do it. See if y'all had any questions or even any subjects that you feel like I need to touch on. I'll always get that response. I'll always get that response. Because a lot of times in these lectures, it's people's subconscious mind talking through me. So they're answering their own questions through listening. It's weird that those weird type scenarios happen.
For our listeners out there that are asking themselves, what specific steps can I take immediately to move forward in Black supremacy consciousness and conscientiousness in terms of what can I do tonight, tomorrow morning that will help Black supremacy? That's a good question.
I would first sit and meditate on Black supremacy and give a lot of meditation to it. And sometimes meditation is divine contemplation, which these lectures are. These are meditations. So even watching these lectures, it's not just like somebody on the lecture circuit coming out with information. That's why they're so long. And there's so many of them, because it's people that are watching are actually meditating on Black supremacy and the ideas that are in them. So their consciousness is evolving through meditation, because it's not what I'm saying on these videos, it's what their consciousness is sending to them in response to what I'm saying. I say something and their consciousness say, yeah, that's it. Or it says something higher, which is the action that moved them towards the application of what I'm saying. So I said meditate on Black supremacy and be radical enough to do what comes to mind once the ancestors and once the spiritual forces within you act. Be radical enough, radically honest enough to move on the thought that comes from that. Because you cannot help Black supremacy. You are Black supremacy. We can help the world as Black supremacists. We can help our people as Black supremacists. But you're already a Black supremacist. And through a Black supremacist meditation, we will evolve. So the ways in which we can help may be different today than they will be tomorrow. That doesn't mean the help we did yesterday is irrelevant. It just means as we evolve, the manner and ways in which we help evolve. But what matters is the course of and the path, the sincere, austere path towards Black supremacy. That's what's relevant. Because there's no judgment. His help is better than my help, and her help is better than our help. And help is help from wherever level of sincerity you're at in wanting to help. But the key is the meditation on Black supremacy, which will evolve you to even a greater helper. Because then we won't be helping from the vantage point of being in white supremacy. That meditation will get us further out of Black supremacy so we can help more as sovereign and independent beings. So I say meditate on Black supremacy. By the time, while I'm doing this video, by the time I can give you something to do. But 2 weeks from now, when you see this video, or a month from now when they see this video, I might be on a whole nother level due to my meditation on Black supremacy. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because that's how Black supremacy is. It's constantly exactly transcending and evolving in our application and in our understanding and in our methodology. By totally giving ourselves to it, it evolves us into being better beings. Exactly. So the idea that I give you right now, I will give you a better idea. And a better idea. That's why it's not idea-centered. Who got the best idea, or this idea versus that idea. It's are those ideas being evolved along the path of Black supremacy? That's the question. Then there's no argument of ideas. If that's as where you at on the path of Black supremacy, truly sincere with an austere meditation, if that's the best idea you come up with, that's good enough. I can't make your path my path and make you evolved as I am and make your walk in Black supremacy the same as mine. It's impossible. It might take you as many years for me to get to that point within yourself. It might be spontaneous for you. And you may be ready to move on something higher than I am ready to move on in application to Black supremacy. It depends on what's inside of the person. But what's relevant is the sincere focus and meditation on black supremacy. And that means turning off the white man. Turn off the televisions, the radios, listening to white people getting their thoughts and getting out books and dealing with whatever white people got to say. Just turn that off so you can be open to what you can do as a black supremacist without no white people's limits in that. Be an unlimited being as a black supremacist. So that's what I would say. Meditate. Go into a very sincere meditation and be honest with yourself about where you are in black supremacy and the changes you know you need to make. This is not based on religious dogmatism. This is an internal search, an inverted search. So I can give you some dogmatic ideas about if you're a black supremacist, you do this, that, and the other. But then, how will you grow? You got to challenge yourself and say, you know what, I know that I'm doing is not black supremacy. I know that's not. And if I just start by stopping that, then you're being true to yourself. You're not being judged by me and living to my standards, because if black supremacy is in you, the standards must already be in there too. The standards at the level that you're at in black supremacy must already be there. And we know what ain't black supremacy, what we don't have, what doesn't line up with black supremacy that we need to stop. And by stopping things in our mind that we know, having the courage and the strength to stop things that we know are not in alignment with black supremacy is the first step to having nothing left to do but compensate for those things that we stopped by adding things that are based on black supremacy. If we stop buying this for them, then we start making that for ourselves. If we stop watching this, then we got more black time for black supremacy. So stopping, first of all, because that's easy to do. You can search your mind and be creative. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's what you're going to not do. What you're going to stop doing and what you're not going to do anymore. And that will leave room for what can be done in black supremacy. Then you'll open up. Say, I'm not going to pay rent no more. Where do I go? You're going to end up someplace where they on black supremacy. You know what I'm saying? You say, I'm not going to patronize the white man and give all my money and work for him. You're going to come up with another black. If you stop that, only thing else can happen after that is black supremacy. It's nothing else that could possibly happen. That's like, what do I do after I leave the plantation? Just leave it. And everything you do will reflect freedom. You ain't got to make up what freedom is. Just stop being a slave. It's easy. It's real easy. So that's what I suggest people do. Do a real sincere internal meditation on black supremacy and have the radical honesty to look at it and the courage to challenge what arises and change your ways based on what arises. That's the self-type. I would say do that type of self-analysis. And I know that people will experience an improvement and they will move further towards black supremacy and they walk. Sometimes people think black supremacy is like an organization where you just get this creed and you play this role in this organization. And it's not like that. It's a walk. It's a spiritual journey.
Mindset, way of life.
Exactly. That you evolve longer and longer as you move and walk towards the spiritual journey and your ideas evolve. Your consciousness evolves totally as you keep walking and walking the journey, and your mind becomes more closed to white supremacy and more open to black supremacy as you get further and further along the journey. In a more science simple America, we used to say, as a man's God changes, his ideas changes. As his ideas changes, his idea of God changes. So these changes happen automatically. So let the change happen. It's an evolutionary, re-evolutionary, revolutionary way to go. You follow what I'm saying? And when I say revolutionary, I'm talking about as you walk the path, the revolutionary path, a solution will be revealed. And it will be open. It's revolutionary. It opens up. It's revealed to you. The solution is revealed. The further and further you go down the path, you get a longer and longer. You get a larger and even better solution. Solutions get better. We know what we do when we got no resources. We use a knife to open a can, right? Real simple result. And we almost cut ourselves. We got to figure out how we're not going to cut ourselves. It's all type of challenges dealt with where we at with that mechanism. But then when you get a can opener, you don't have the same even problems. When you expand into having a can opener, you don't have the same problems that you have trying to open a can with a knife. So even the problems become irrelevant. And the solution becomes greater. And now the problem is a new problem. Well, how many cans can I open up in 5 minutes? Then when you get the electric can opener, you know you can open up 5 cans in 10 minutes. Then the question is, how much food can I prepare? Then you go from a hot plate to a stove. Do you see the evolution that is happening? It's an evolutionary process. It's not a rigid organizational role. It's a revolutionary process. And we know as people move along with this path, they're going to keep expanding, and transcending. Constantly transcending old ideas, old thoughts, and raising above certain limitations. The only reason we're in the condition that we're in today is because of the limits that we have. When we transcend those limits rationally, I don't mean just stepping out on courage or just confronting the things that we fear. I mean really rationally changing our belief in limits. What we will do effortlessly and successfully will be almost unbelievable, unimaginable. Do you see what I'm saying? Right now, we stepping out a little bit, saying, well, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try to see what I can do. But then when you actually internalize that you are an unlimited being and nothing can stop you, the things that you would have tried to do last year, you will find yourself doing with no worry. And people that have those worries will look like they need to be in a mental institution in you. When they come to you and say, well, how you going to do that? You going all the way down there? You don't know what's down there, what them people are doing. You will be at such a level of self-realization that would sound completely, absolutely crazy. If they ask you if you was going to get up out of a chair, or you believe you're going to be able to walk. Do you hear what I'm saying? But this thing has become effortless to you. So I'm saying that the further, more stronger we get in black supremacy, the more things that a black supreme being should be doing automatically off the jump will become effortless to us. Meaning taking no effort, no struggle, no resistance, no internal argument. You'd be like, oh, we just shut white supremacy down like that. Oh, that's how we deal with that. That's how nonchalant we'll have with these super problems that these Negroes have. These unsolvable problems. We'll be just solving them like that. Oh, we just handled it like that and it was over with. Are you serious? You mean you didn't? No, we didn't deal with any of that. It was that easy. Because that's how a black supreme being will be handling those particular problems. Just like that. But it got to be internalized. Not just an ideology, a philosophy, or an organizational role, but an embodiment and an internal realization of one's true capabilities as a black being. Any other questions?
You just touched on spontaneous transcendence, and you just touched on how a supreme God mind works. Can you give us more detail on how a person can know and explain to themselves, or what words they would use to explain to themselves that they are God, and not having a vicarious experience? Even for those people that are calling themselves God, how they can crystallize that once and for all for themselves.
Now we got to deal with the calling ourselves God. I'm glad he asked that question. That's definitely an enlightened question. We got to deal with God and what God means. To me, God is not a stationary entity. God is a process of human becoming. A constant evolutionary process of human being and becoming. Forever. So you can be and not be God at the same time, and I hope I'm not losing you with this. If you are not going beyond your limits, the limitations of what you can do, be, and have, you are not being God, because you are not showing and proving that you are by going beyond the physical limitations of what you can achieve. Because God can only keep knowing itself as an expansive being. He can only keep knowing himself as an infinite being. But how do you know yourself as an infinite being if you keep limiting yourself to finite parameters?
You know, I know.
Absolutely. So although you're a God, you're not constantly knowing yourself as that. So in a way, you're not being it. You're just calling yourself that. In being God, you're constantly